Hey, Keith from Sundanced Wood here. Just want to give you a brief detail of the origin story to where I'm at now. I've always felt I was an artist. When I was a kid, my brother, my brother was a pencil artist. He would draw these crazy detailed photos, and I would just sit there in amazement and just watch him. And he used to just ask me to draw that vase or that flower, and I would draw it, and he would say, "Draw it again." And he showed me the difference from the first one to the last one and how it got so much better. So I feel like that teaching I've carried on through the years. My sister's coloring style, when we would coloring books, we didn't have iPads or any of that stuff. We had coloring books and pencils, and we drew and we colored, and her coloring was so inspiring that, like, anytime you see any color in any of my pieces, I'm pulling from watching my sister color. I think it was like 2013. I was collecting pieces of a Christmas tree. When you buy a Christmas tree, they slice the bottoms off. So I was collecting a whole bunch of them and just making artwork with them. Like I said, I've always been an artist since I was young, but there was something special in these like pieces. I would make Christmas ornaments, and then I started to see a lot of people throwing away dressers and furniture and stuff like that. So I would go along the streets with my kids, and we would pick up like dressers, tables, and anything, and I'd bring them home, and I would totally cut them up into like 30 different pieces. In 2014, I entered myself into rehab, and I really wasn't drawing, or I didn't really have an outlet during that time. But when I was in rehab, they gave me a coloring book and crayons, and I instantly felt that draw from when I was a kid, like watching my sister or my brother like draw, and I would just draw. And then when I got out of rehab, I started doing the woodworking, the wood burning, and that's the next thing I know, it just started to, get bigger, and I started to do events, sell some of the pieces at some of the vendor events, and having somebody say they want a piece of my art to hang in their home, that was priceless to me. I was giving stuff away at that time just because it felt so amazing for somebody to say, "We want to hang your art in our home." So it's hard for me to talk about a story now without giving you the back history on any of this stuff. Like, that's why I like to say everything that I did when I was a kid is relative. And when I was 5 years old or something, we would take these family trips up to Sugar Loaf, and I was the youngest sibling, so I was being pushed through in a stroller. And the stroller in Sugar Loaf, they used to have these like railroad tie sidewalks. So like when you're going on a stroller, it's like. But I remember looking in the stroller and looking up at these like signs and just being like, "Holy crap! These things are like beautiful. They're huge. They're vibrant. The painting was just shooting right off of the signs, and Sugar Loaf. I've always felt a strong connection to Sugar Loaf. Fast forward I would say about 20 years, I ended up coming into Sugar Loaf with some of my smaller artwork that I do, like the pyrography, the wood burning, the small stuff. And I'm outside talking with somebody, and they're saying that I should do some of the signs in Sugar Loaf, and I'm like, yeah, right. Like, how the hell am I going to get involved with doing this? Like, how could I do something as grand as that on that scale and that artistic flow? And they said that the original sign fabricator for Sugar Loaf was literally 3 blocks down from where I was set up at the vendor tent. So I walked down to this dude's house. I knocked on his door, and introduce myself as one of his biggest fans. Like, he's been a huge inspiration for me since I was a kid. His name was Clay Boone, and his father had the original sign business in Sugar Loaf, and Clay carried that business on. Keith from Sundanced Wood. Like, subscribe, share, tell your mom, tell your father, tell your grandfather, tell your kids. Sundanced Wood is for the children. Subscribe and like.